मम ज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितमेन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोविशितं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं गुरो श्रीयुतम् श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश श्रीरूपं सागरजातं सगना रघुनाथं तं तां सजीवं सागरहितं साधुतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सर्वना ललिता श्रीविशाखवतं श्रीकृष्ण कर्मसुन्दरीनवन्तो जगत्पते गोपेशा गोप्ता कांतराधाकांतनं श्रीतत्त्वकाञ्चनपुराणी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते प्रेमाञ्चाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यश्च भक्तानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Welcome to this discussion on Bhagavad Gita. So today we are looking at entering the fourth chapter. The fourth chapter title is Transcendental Knowledge. So in this, we can see that this entire chapter can be divided into five different themes. So the first theme is covered by verse 1 to 10, and in this, Krishna teaches and establishes Dharma. So the fourth chapter, let us dwell some time on the title of this chapter, which is Transcendental Knowledge. The fourth chapter deals with the concept of spiritual knowledge. Srila Prabhupada has termed this chapter as Transcendental Knowledge. If you see the standard Gita Press edition, they call this as Jnana Karma Sannyasa Yoga. The third chapter is Karma Yoga, and fifth chapter is called as Karma Sannyasa Yoga. But Srila Prabhupada has named the fourth chapter as Transcendental Knowledge. Different acharyas have given different titles for this chapter. Essentially, this chapter deals with knowledge. How do we know this? If we see what Krishna is telling in this chapter, in the shloka number 4.38, nahi jnanena sadrisham pavitram iha vidyate tat swayam yoga samsiddha kalen atmani vindati. In this world, there is nothing so sublime and pure as transcendental knowledge. So Prabhupada is using this title. Such knowledge is mature fruit of all mysticism, and one who has become accomplished in the practice of devotional service enjoys this knowledge within himself in due course of time. So it is Prabhupada is using this Jnanena Sadrisham, Yoga Samasiddha, and it is done as we practice in course of time, we will understand it. So it is very nicely, the sloka is a very good sloka, which we should memorize. And from here, Prabhupada has taken the title of this uh, Nahi Jnanena Sadrisham. There is nothing so sublime and pure as transcendental knowledge. This is an important shloka. Kalen Atmani Vindati. Kalen Atmani Vindati means we become, and one who becomes accomplished in the practice of enjoys this knowledge. He who is mature in course of time enjoys this. We get delighted by this knowledge. So that is why this chapter is named as Transcendental Knowledge. Let us go back to the theme here. The first section, shlokas 1 and 2, this majorly focuses on Krishna teaching and establishing Dharma. How is this linked with the previous chapter? So, in the previous chapter, we talked about karma. It is Dharma. So, now here we are going to talk about how in Krishna establishes Dharma. So, it is Dharma which protects us from karma, and then we get elevated. There are many parts of Dharma. Thus, the next section deals with the theme Krishna is the goal and creator of all paths. There are many ways in which we will be able to control our desires. But it is better that Krishna is the goal and he is the creator of all paths. So then the next so slokas 11 to 15 deal with this. Krishna has made all the paths and Krishna has created these paths. In the context of Bhagavad Gita, in these chapters, Krishna is specifically recommending Karma Yoga to Arjuna. So the theme of slokas between 16 to 24 is Karma Yoga. So Karma Yoga is dharma. That means we control our desires by doing work and for satisfaction of Krishna. So the theme of the slokas between 16 to 24 is Karma Yoga as dharma. Now we need to know, does Karma Yoga give us liberation? There is jnana. So how do we know that Karma Yoga also has jnana? So achieving jnana through sacrifices. That is the part which is dealt in shloka number 25 to 33, where we achieve knowledge through sacrifices. By executing sacrifices, we eventually come to jnana. The last section of that chapter talks about glory of this divine knowledge. And shlokas number 34 to 42 are the last one. So there are totally 42 shlokas. So it is one of the chapter in which the good amount of shlokas and lot of major part of the Bhagavad Gita themes are discussed in this chapter. Okay, so now let us go to the shloka. Shri Bhagavanuvacha iman vivasvate yogam प्रोक्तवान अहम अव्ययाम विवस्वान मनवे प्राह manu ikshvakave bhave. So, personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna said, I instructed this imperishable science of yoga to sun god Vivasvan, and Vivasvan instructed it to Manu, the father of mankind, and Manu in turn instructed it to Ikshvak. So, Proktovan means instructor, Aham, I, avyaya means imperishable knowledge. So Krishna is instructing this knowledge. So here we can see Raha. Raha means told. Abravit means said. And Proktovan instructor. So these are the words which are like synonyms. Now we can get a question. Krishna was talking about lust, senses, mind, intelligence in previous chapter. But suddenly he's talking about what he has spoken to sun god Vivaswan. So how should we connect it? The point is that the knowledge Krishna has told to Arjuna in chapter 3 is not something which Krishna has spun out of his magic hat at that time. So Krishna has not concocted this knowledge for Arjuna. So Krishna emphasizes the point that this knowledge is eternal, and he sees that this is the opportune moment for Krishna to reveal this knowledge to Arjuna. So this is Sloka 3.31. Yeme madam idam nityam anutistanti manava shraddhavanto anusyanto muchyante api karmami. Those persons who have executed their duties according to my injunctions and who follow this teaching faithfully without envy become free from bondage of fruition. So we see that even in the third chapter, Krishna is talking about this injunction and who have followed it faithfully without envy without envy. So they have become freed, they have become liberated from the bondage of fruitive action. So here the word nityam, nityam means it is eternal. Eme matam idam. Matam means these injunctions are eternal. So the Krishna's words are eternal words. So in chapter 4, Krishna is explaining how these words are eternal. This knowledge is available right from the beginning of creation. So we will dwell sometime during our discussion today. We will dwell sometime on how this, when was this knowledge introduced? So knowledge is as such available from the beginning of creation. This is because the knowledge of conquering lust is required by every living entity. Everybody has to fight and conquer lust. How they fight and how they conquer? They fight and conquer by power of bhakti, by power of knowledge given in this chapter. The power to conquer lust is available in maximum in bhakti yoga. So Krishna is telling how this knowledge is coming down from time immemorial. In 3.31 we saw he is calling this knowledge as Eme Matam Idam Nitya. So here Nityam, and in shloka number 4.1 we see that Avyaya. Avyaya means imperishable. So this knowledge is imperishable. So Krishna also is here is emphasizing the characteristic of this knowledge, and then he is giving a lineage through which this entire thinking as as percolated to different generation. Srila Prabhupada in this purport is giving a um, technical explanation of the shloka. Let us go there. So you see, in this chapter 4.1, Prabhupada is giving these numbers in the purport. And if you go with the exact numbers, these are the exact numbers. Now let us understand what is given in the purport. So Prabhupada says Satya Yuga has 1.7 million years. Treta Yuga we have 1.2 million years. Dwapara Yuga we have 800,000 years. Kali Yuga we have 4,000 years. Kali Yuga till date is 5,000 years. So one Yuga cycle, according to this calculation, is 41,000. Sorry, 4.1 million and 5,000 years. How did I get this number? I get this number from here. So Prabhupada has given these numbers. So I'm just trying to put it in a format so that we can easily discuss. So, so Yuga years elapsed till date is 37,000. So 500,000 years are still to be covered. Now, Manu's life in years is this is also indicated by Prabhupada in the purport. And till now, Prabhupada, Manu's life that has elapsed is like um, 120 billion years, 120 million years. So Manu's life is about 74 yuga cycles. Till now, it is 29 yugas have got completed. So the inference here is that Bhagavad Gita is in for very long time. So it is there for almost 120 million years. So this is 120 million years. And Prabhupada is mentioning that Bhagavad Gita is in society for 2 million years. That means in this Yuga cycle, it was spoken at the beginning of Treta Yuga. So that was spoken by Manu to King Ikshvaku. So Manu got access to this knowledge 120 million years, 120 million years minus 2 million years back. So he got that access to that, and then he is giving it to Ikshvaku at the beginning of Treta Yuga, and then just 500 years before, um, just 500 years before, in Dwapara Yuga, at the end of Dwapara Yuga, to Krishna spoke this knowledge to Arjuna. So the point here is that in this universe, it is existing for almost 120 million years, and in this Yuga cycle, it was available almost 2 million years back. And in current Kali Yuga, or the beginning of Kali Yuga, this was spoken by Krishna to Arjuna. So we understand at a universal level, at multiple Yuga level, and in the current Yuga level, we are able to understand. Current Kali Yuga level, we are able to understand that Bhagavad Gita is spoken by Lord to ensure that this knowledge is helpful for the people to overcome their lusty desires and go back home, back to God. So now let us go to the purport which Prabhupada has given us. So here we find that, so here we can see Prabhupada is writing in the beginning of the purport. Here we find the history of Bhagavad Gita traced from remote time when it was delivered to the royal order of all planets, beginning from Sun planet. So here Prabhupada is talking about King Ikshvaku, Sun God. So then it is coming to the king of all planets are especially meant for protection of the inhabitants, and therefore the royal order should understand the science of Bhagavad Gita in order to be able to rule the citizen and protect them from material bondage of us. So the main purpose of this knowledge is to overcome the lust. So Srila Prabhupada is talking about the duties of the king. The foremost duty of the king is to give protection. This protection is not from thieves or any anti-social elements, but from lust. So the enmity, the biggest enemy is not outside, but it is inside the jiva. King has to protect their citizen from this bondage of lust. So, so that is what we see. So this lust is the connect between the third chapter and the fourth chapter. So how does this bondage to lust happen is described in the third chapter. The liberation from this bondage is not just the duty of the individual citizen, it is the responsibility of the king. Therefore, Krishna is telling that this is the reason why he has given the knowledge to kings. Kings have to create proper social cultural environment by which people do not get bound to lust. Krishna is emphasizing that this knowledge is imparted to kings by him. So if you see the last, this here, in other words, the executive heads of all states are intended to spread the science of Krishna consciousness so that the people may take advantage of this great science and pursue a successful path, utilizing the opportunity of human form of life. So this is very important. In general, any branch of knowledge to be socially effective, there has to be union or joining of Brahmanas and Kshatriyas. If you look at Buddhism, it is a religion of renunciant. Everybody is a monk. Buddha renounced the world. Those who followed him also renounced the world. So Buddhism did not have much influence on the Asia till it was adapted by King Ashoka. Ashoka adopted it, then his family adopted it, then his kingdom adopted it. He practically became the missionary of Buddhism. He sent his son to Sri Lanka and he sent other relatives and other sons to different places. That way, they all joined in spreading Buddhism. That is how Buddhism spread. So Buddha is a renouncer, and when this idea was accepted by a king, it spread very well. Similarly, if you see Christianity For first 3 to 4 centuries, it was a persecuted religion. It was persecuted by Romans. Afterwards, it took off and it took off very fast. It took off very fast after Roman Emperor accepted Christianity. Even in Vedic culture, we see that the point that Brahmanas and Kshatriyas have remained united. This helped in propagation of spiritual culture. In recent past, we take the example of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who transformed the heart of Maharaj Prataparudra. This Maharaj already had appreciation for Vaishnava culture. He soon got captivated by the sweetness, mercy, and love of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He then offered all the state resources for protection and propagation of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission. In general, for any system of thought to be socially or culturally influential, there must be good alliance of Brahmana and Kshatriya. We see that Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels were the founder philosophers of Marxist theory, and they co-authored this Communist Manifesto. This manifesto influenced many people, and they were actually picked up very well by Lenin and Stalin. These two, Lenin and Stalin, became leader of Russia. They overthrew the Tsar Empire. This communist rule, which Lenin and Stalin established based on the Marxist theory of Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels, uh, prevailed for almost 70 years in Russia. We see that even for a atheistic concept like socialism or communism uh, to flourish, there must be good alliance between intellectuals and administrators. So when Krishna says that here that he has given this knowledge to kings, why he has given this knowledge to kings? Kings will influence society. If the king is materialistic in thoughts, then the subjects will have materialistic influence. If king is spiritually minded, then it will influence the public in a spiritual way. Krishna does not give knowledge to anyone and everyone. It is knowledge available to everyone and everyone if they seek. However, Krishna's main priority is to impart this knowledge to kings. So, similarly, in our preaching program also, we would like to reach our message to all. However, our priority will be to focus on people who are influential. Srila Prabhupada always was pleased if his disciple brought influential people of the society to meet him. Many prominent thinkers met Srila Prabhupada. The objective was that Srila Prabhupada wanted to influence the society. This way, influence becomes wider. This is a precision approach to cover wider audience. By this, the reach of preaching program is very high, and even the remotest village can be reached by this type of approach. This may look, this approach may look like rejecting some people in the society by choosing whom to preach. This may look like that. In our movement, we can see that Srila Prabhupada went and preached even to hippies. This is most extraordinary aspect of Srila Prabhupada, who being very conservative in his worldly views, like no meat eating, no illicit sex, no gambling, no intoxication, wearing a traditional Indian attire, he declared among hippies, don't worry about anything, just chant Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada in San Francisco, the headline of the preaching program says, Swami invites the hippies. This was very radical outlook for conservative Swami to invite people who are considered degraded even by the Western standard. Srila Prabhupada invited everyone to practice Krishna consciousness. Simultaneously, Srila Prabhupada wanted to focus on few people. So, in the first edition of Bhagavad Gita, printed by Macmillan, Allen Ginsberg wrote a foreword. for the Bhagavad Gita. The foreword is generally an introduction of the subject to the audience. When Srila Prabhupada printed the Bhagavad Gita through ISKCON Press, which was later made as BBT, Srila Prabhupada removed the foreword from Allen Ginsberg. Allen Ginsberg was famous, but he was also controversial and scandalous because he advocated drugs, free sex in many ways. So he was a famous person. However, he was not considered a respectable person by mainstream society and media. Initially, whoever was coming, they were welcomed, and Srila Prabhupada was happy with that. Srila Prabhupada was happy with whatever contribution they were able to make. Later on, Srila Prabhupada wanted to distance himself from hippies. The point was that this Krishna conscious movement was for people, including hippies. It was not only for hippies. In one of the letters to Ayagriva Prabhu, Srila Prabhupada has given a clear instruction to forget the hippie culture. The point of Srila Prabhupada was that he wanted Krishna conscious movement to be open to everyone, including hippies. If we restrict the movement only to hippies, then others cannot adopt this movement. So people may have a wrong impression about the movement, that this movement is for drug addicts, not for common. Srila Prabhupada did not want this type of labeling for this movement. So Srila Prabhupada wanted influential people also to come and join our movement. Srila Prabhupada was very shrewd in presenting Krishna consciousness to world. He wanted to present the Krishna conscious movement in positive light. When Srila Prabhupada was doing this, it is not a discrimination. No, it is rather precision in understanding what we are presenting and what we are representing. So, so it is like we need to present the ideas and we need to also represent the ideas. So Srila Prabhupada will also give the example of Red Cross worker working in a war field. There will be hundreds of soldiers who need medical attention. So Red Cross staffs are limited in numbers. So they need to prioritize whom they treat first. If there are people who are severely injured and there is a very little hope for their survival in a war zone with limited facility available, it will not be sufficient to treat them. Hence, the focus of Red Cross volunteers will be the victims whose probability of survival is higher. When they are saved, then they can join hands and help in saving others. If we wrongly focus on severely wounded victims, then the probability that they would die is high. And because of the misplaced focus, the victims who could be saved also will end up dying. Thus, Srila Prabhupada implemented the precision based on priority. Thus, it is the priority prioritization rather than discrimination. Thus, with limited resource in hand, Krishna consciousness needed to be imparted to people who will have a greater influence on the society. So the idea was to spread and reach deeper in different parts of the world. Some people have the impression that ISKCON is for rich and educated people. That is not true. We have a lot of projects like Padayatra, where devotees go from village to village with the prime focus of spreading Krishna consciousness in villages. The people focus there, the people whom we meet in Padayatra are not educated, nor are they very rich. They are people who are like farmers, who do from the rural background, and they can also take up Krishna conscious very easily. So people who have knowledge, wealth, have greater influence on the common people. Hence, we have to prioritize them to spread the movement. However, the Krishna conscious movement is for one and everyone. This prioritization ensures that there is a ripple effect, and hence Krishna conscious movement can spread faster and deeper areas in society. Now we can ask a question. Why is Lord giving this knowledge to Sun God? Sun is like eye of the Lord. Sun gives light to everyone. Krishna is giving light to everyone. Who gives light to everyone? So Krishna is giving light to Sun, and Sun is giving light to everyone. So Krishna is giving the light of knowledge to Sun God. Sun God gives the light of knowledge to everyone. Sun God is very important. So after explaining the importance of Sun God in the purport, if you see here, Yachakshureta Savita Sakala Grahana Raja Samasta Suramurti Asesha Tejaha Yashyagneya Brahmati Saprita Kala Chakro Govinda Madi Purusha Tamaham Bhaja. The original person. Let me worship Lord Brahma is saying the Supreme Personality of God Krishna, who is the original person, under whose order the sun, which is the king of all planets, is assuming immense power and light. The sun represents the eye of the Lord and traverses its orbit in obedience to his order. So sun is the king of planets and rules sun planet, which is controlling all other planets by supplying sunlight. So this is the reason why sun god is selected by Krishna. Now, then Prabhupada is getting into the details in the beginning of Treta Yuga, how the so he's telling in the beginning of Treta Yuga, the science of relationship with Supreme was delivered by Devasman to Manu, being the father of mankind. And given it to son Maharaj Ikshvaku, the king of this earth planet, and forefather of Raghu dynasty, in which Lord Ramachandra appeared. So then there is a full technical detail here. So in the purport, we see that a time when this knowledge was given, uh, when the creation was done, Sun God was there, and this knowledge was imparted to Sun God by Krishna. Let me share my screen. So in the purport, um, so here we can see Yachakshuresa Savita Sakala Graham. The importance of Sun God is given in the purport. So we can see here. And then in Mahabharata, Prabhupada is quoting a Mahabharata shloka where the indication of this science is given. And then Prabhupada is explaining the, the number of years um, this Bhagavad Gita is in existence. So if you see here, this one is this calculation. This is the calculation that Prabhupada is given. Our key inferences is that Bhagavad Gita is in this universe for a very long time, almost for 120 million years. And Prabhupada is mentioning in the Bhagavad Gita that this is there almost in this human society for almost 2 million years, and it is repeated just before Mahabharata, 5,000 years ago. So we can see how this entire Bhagavad Gita has been critical in the entire human society or human life, or at least in this yuga. Now, I go back to the purport again. So, Prabhupada then is there talking about the last few lines. Because Bhagavad Gita is as good as Vedas being spoken by Supreme Personality of Godhead, this knowledge is aparusaya, superhuman. Since the Vedic instructions are accepted as they are, without human interpretation, the Gita must therefore be accepted without mundane interpretation. So, Prabhupada here is setting a tone for the next shloka, because next shloka is going to talk about why Prabhupada has to give this knowledge to Arjuna now. So the mundane wranglers may speculate on Gita in their own ways, but that is not Bhagavad Gita as it is. Therefore, Bhagavad Gita has to be accepted as it is from the disciplinic succession. It is described here that Lord spoke to Sun God spoke to Manu spoke to his son Ikshvaku. So this is how this entire thing is coming down. So there is a name for this propagation of knowledge from a spiritual master to his disciple and spiritual then that disciple to his disciple, that disciple to the next disciple. So that is called as parampara, which Krishna talks in the next shloka. So if you see the next shloka, it says, Evam parampara praptam imam rajarishayo vidu sakalena mahata yogo nashta parantapa. So this parampara is important because we should give the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita as it is. So, if there are mundane wranglers, Prabhupada used the name wrangler, who would give their own interpretation of Bhagavad Gita, then we will not get benefited. So we see that evam parampara praptam imam rajarishayo. Rajarishaya is a one important word here. Saintly kings, Sakalena, and then Sakalena Mahata. But in course of time, the succession was broken. Yogo Nashta Parantapa. Nashta means lost. Prabhupada here says scattered. Here in this translation, he says lost. So in course of time, this great science is lost. Nashta, the word to word translation is telling us scattered, whereas the translation in Prabhupada uses the word lost. This knowledge is coming down in the parampara. Parampara means it is given to the spiritual master. So if you see this parampara of Bhagavad Gita, which is spoken now, Vivasvan has spoken to Vivasvan, the Imperial Yoga Sun God, Vivasvan, and Vivasvan, Supreme Lord spoke to Vivasvan. Vivasvan spoke to Manu. Manu has spoken to Ikshvaku. So this is the disciplinic succession. So evam parampara. So this is the parampara. Praptam. So this needs to be there. Uh, and it is given among the saintly kings. And the knowledge as such appears to be lost due to in the course of time. So Mahata means great time. Great time is considered as a great destroyer. So the time has taken over a period of time, the knowledge is lost. So yogo nashta parantapa. So this knowledge is lost or appears to be lost, but now it needs to be reinstated. So Krishna is doing this. Krishna here is emphasizing the way in which the knowledge has to be received. Krishna is following specific way of propagating the knowledge. Krishna is giving this knowledge to Raja Rishi. Raja means king, who is the ruler of the world. He is the outer world ruler. He has power, control, army, servants, subjects. Rishi means sage, who is a renouncer of a world. He is ruler of the inner world. He focuses on sense control and inner growth by which Rishi learns to control the inner world. So, is there any contradiction by telling a word saintly kings, Raja Rishiya? Because the two characteristics are contradicting one another. Or how can these two things be together? They seem to be two opposite characteristics. The point here that Krishna wants to emphasize is that when these two traits are integrated into a person, that person is Rajarishi. Don't think that the outer ruler need not be inner ruler. So it is very important that for even to rule outside world, the conquering of the inner world is very, very important. So Srila Prabhupada is translating this Rajarishi as saintly kings. Some of the commentators have translated Rajarishi as royal sage. But we can understand Srila Prabhupada's emphasis is on saintliness of kings. This means they are kings who are not power hungry to stamp their authority on everyone else. Their objective is to serve others, understand the purpose of life, and share this knowledge to others. So they are called as saintly king. This saintliness is one of their important characteristics. This knowledge has come down through saintly king. So this is a very, very interesting point. There are many other topics that we can discuss in shloka number 2. We will stop here. Any questions? Any questions on this topic? Actually, I have made some questions. Let me just. So, in today's class, um, we had looked into some important points. Why does Srila Prabhupada refer to fourth chapter as transcendental knowledge? We looked into this. And then we also discussed how the fourth chapter is connected to the third chapter of Bhagavad Gita. And then third point that we discussed is why does Krishna impart this knowledge first to kings? And um, what role does actually this is what role does sacrifice play in acquiring transcendental knowledge according to this chapter? And how does Krishna describe the transmission of spiritual knowledge in Bhagavad Gita? So these are some important questions that or these are some of the important questions which were discussed today. I don't see that it is the questions which were discussed. These are some important pointers towards today's discussion. Any questions on this? Okay, if there are no questions, then we will stop here. Thank you very much. Vacha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhuvaya पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमः। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। ग्रंथराज भगवत गीता की जय। जगत गुरु श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। गौर प्रेमानंद। हरे कृष्णा वेरी मच।
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you.